This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership. Welcome to Construction Genius. And in today's episode, I'm going to share with you 5 ways to have a great day every day. You know how vital it is to prepare for bidding, planning, and building work. You prepare before presenting a proposal to a client. Your PMs put weeks into planning out a project. Your foremen conduct tailgate meetings every day, getting ready for a great day of executing work. How much time do you take each day to prepare yourself for your leadership responsibilities? When I get up in the morning, I don't immediately check my email, my social media, or my texts. Instead, I go downstairs, make a cup of coffee, sit in a comfortable chair, and I start a timer on my phone for 60 minutes. I set aside an hour to think and reflect. And in this podcast, I'm going to share 5 things I consider during that time to prepare for my leadership duties during the day. Those 5 things are, number 1, gratitude. Secondly, pain. 3rd, love. Number 4, unique contribution. And number 5, sobriety. I'm going to take time to go through each one, explain it in a little more detail, give you a picture of how I prepare for my day, and challenge you to consider how you may be able to take a framework like this so that you can prepare for your day and have a great day as a leader every day. So let's start off with gratitude. On Thursday of this week, I woke up in a pissy mood. I hadn't slept well. And as I began my hour of preparation, I really had to force myself to stop whining. And where I sit downstairs in my house, I can look out the window to our back garden, and I've been watching the cherry tree and this other tree in the backyard come into full flowering and then full greenage over the past few months. And I noticed how the leaves on the trees in my garden were growing in, and they were being tossed around by a gentle breeze. And the light of the early morning sun was playing off of the leaves. And immediately my spirits lifted, and I said, "Thank you." And then I saw a crow on one of the tree branches, and it was bobbing up and down as crows do, cawing. And I thought about it for a moment. That crow wasn't suffering any angst. It was just being a crow. It woke up that day and it was going about its business doing what crows do. And it reminded me that most of my anxieties are pretty trivial and that I needed to focus on my duties and responsibilities just to be the man that I am called to be. And that little insight, watching the crow, produced in me a real sense of thankfulness. And then finally, I took a sip of my coffee. And it was delicious. It was very easy to make. All I had to do was flick on the water pot, let it boil, pour it into the press pot. And how often we forget that we're surrounded by so many conveniences like electricity that make our lives easier. And just that reflection helped me, again, to be filled with this wave of gratitude. Now, each one of those may not seem significant in and of themselves, but the practice of gratitude can really transform the way that you think about your day, the way you think about yourself and your circumstances. Every day, I encourage you to choose 3 things or people that you can be thankful for. Vary them each day, and you'll find that it makes an immediate difference. The second thing to consider in your time alone at the beginning of the day is pain. Before getting into the hurly-burly of the day, you must commit to embrace the discomfort of the day that you face. So think about the hardest thing that you have to do each day. Today, for me, it's recording this podcast. I'm recording this podcast actually on a Friday afternoon. The sun is shining outside. It's 2:37 right now, and I'm embracing just a little bit of pain to get this done rather than getting off into my weekend, if you know what I mean. So for you, perhaps each day you have a different type of pain. Maybe it's an uncomfortable conversation that you have to have with an employee, a project partner, an owner. Perhaps it's a challenging project that you're building or preparing to build. Perhaps it's a pressure-packed presentation that you have to make. Maybe you're one of those folks who's not super comfortable presenting in front of a large crowd, and you have some sort of function that you're going to where you're going to be doing something like that. Commit to embracing that pain. Each day you have opportunities to embrace pain associated with your responsibilities and duties as a leader. Doing so will enable you to maximize your impact upon others. It's as you go through the pain and take on the responsibilities that you really increase that impact on others and also grow as an individual. So we've talked about gratitude and pain. Next, let's talk a little bit about love. Great leaders are great lovers. Now, that may sound just a little bit strange, especially in the context of construction, but exceptional leaders are concerned about the welfare of others. And they practice communicating that concern and their care to the folks that they lead on a consistent basis. And as you prepare for your day, consider 3 messages you can deliver to your team. The first one is encouragement. Think about who needs encouragement in your organization. Who can you look in the eye and spur on to high performance? If you've given them the training that they need and the resources that they need, if they have the necessary capacity, you have every right to look them in the eye each day and tell them, you can do it. Then think about who needs accountability. When you hold someone responsible for the commitments that they've made, it is an act of love. Don't mistake accountability as a negative thing. It is an extremely positive thing that the right people, the good people, appreciate you for. So make sure you're regularly asking your team members, did you do it? And by the way, this might be the real source of pain that you have to embrace, thinking about that accountable conversation that you need to have. My advice is to get that over with as soon as possible. Schedule those accountable conversations for early in the day when you have plenty of energy, and so that you can focus in on that, get it over with, and move on to the rest of your day. And the last message of love that you can communicate to folks is recognition. There's a proverb that says, when the king is pleased, it is like a refreshing spring rain. So think about the people that report to you. Which one of them deserves a pat on the back? A conversation with you where you're specific and personal in the recognition that you give them. How can you refresh the people that work for you today by simply saying thank you, by telling them you did it? So every day, show love to others by how you communicate. And to remember these 3 messages, all you have to do is grab your ear and spell out the word ear. E stands for encouragement, A for accountability, and R for recognition. I know that's a little bit cheesy, but it helps you to remember those messages of love that you can communicate to your folks. The fourth thing you want to consider as you're preparing for your day is, how can I make my unique contribution? What are the 1 or 2 things that you do better than 80% of the people you know? In the past 6 weeks, I've conducted webinars for the Associated General Contractors of California, Sacramento Regional Builders Exchange, Sheet Metal and Air Conditioning Contractors National Association, SMACNA, and also the Construction Financial Management Association, the Sacramento chapter of the CFMA. And those webinars centered around things like leading and thriving in crisis, managing a remote team, post-crisis strategic planning, and running productive virtual meetings. Each webinar was packed with actionable ways to achieve success, and they were very well received. During those webinars, I was leveraging my ability to communicate complex topics simply and clearly. I was making my unique contribution. What is your unique contribution? Is it negotiation? Is it planning, problem solving, team building? As you prepare for your day, think about which tasks will allow you to use that unique ability and commit to blocking out as much time as possible to making that contribution. Determine that distractions and interruptions will not divert you from the highest and best use of your time. So, we've talked about gratitude, pain, love, unique contribution. Now let's talk about the fifth and final thing that you should be thinking about as you're preparing to have a great day, and that is sobriety. Each day is precious and must be approached with seriousness. Last month I turned 50, and I vividly remember turning 30. 2 decades went by so quickly. I feel like I'm just hitting my stride, and I'm really looking forward to the next 20 years of helping my clients and working in the construction industry. But long life is not guaranteed. Time must be redeemed. And you have a tremendous responsibility as a leader to daily remind yourself of the fact that today is all that you have. Today's conversations, today's challenges, the projects that you're working on today is all that you have in front of you. You are not guaranteed tomorrow. So be sober. Consider the good you can do and the evil you must avoid. You must be patient with yourself as you go through this process of preparation. The practice I've just described to you isn't easy, and I didn't start off with a full hour right away. I began with 15 minutes and I slowly added time in 5-minute increments. What I found to be extremely helpful is that as soon as I wake up in the morning, that's the first thing that I do. I just go downstairs, I grab my seat, I get my coffee ready, and I spend that hour. I don't check my phone, I don't check my email, I don't check my texts, and I definitely don't get on Twitter or LinkedIn or any other social media site and see what's happening in the world. That all can wait. Be willing to sit in silence, thinking and preparing for your day. If you need to go to bed a little bit earlier so that you can get up earlier, do so. That precious time in the morning when perhaps the kids are still asleep is a great opportunity for you to think and reflect and prepare for your day, to practice gratitude, commit to embracing the pain, plan to love, determine to make your unique contribution, and soberly resolve to make the most of this day. Earlier, I was talking about how I've conducted those webinars recently for those various construction associations. If you're involved in a construction association and you would like to explore the possibility of me helping that association in terms of speaking at one of the meetings on topics such as strategic planning, leadership, or sales, feel free to reach out to me on my website, ericanderton.com. And just go to the Contact Me page and fill in your details. I'll get back to you within 24 hours. A lot of these associations I've worked with over the years really appreciate the contribution I make simply because, as I said, I communicate complex topics in a very simple, straightforward, and motivational manner. I understand construction because I've worked with contractors since 2004, and people seem to really appreciate that. You can also contact me on LinkedIn. Just go to LinkedIn and search for Eric Anderton. You'll find me there. And I really appreciate you listening to the podcast today. Feel free to share this with other people. Give us a 5-star rating or review wherever you get your podcasts. And tune in next week for the next episode of Construction Genius. This is Eric Anderton, and you're listening to Construction Genius, a leadership masterclass. Thomas Edison said that genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. If you're a construction leader, you know all about the perspiration, and this show is all about the 1% inspiration that you can add to your hard work to help you to improve your leadership.